Welcome to the Mango Effect podcast, where every week we talk about the path to living a limitless life and having the freedom to do it your way. No topics are off limits. We get into the practical, the hypothetical, and the downright juicy stuff. I'm Mindy Rosser, your host and lifestyle cheerleader, and I'm here today to talk about why making money matters as we move into the new year with all those new goals. Last week we talked about setting goals. Happy New Year. It's the first of the year. We're all pumped up. We're all excited because we have all of these dreams and goals, and we are kind of filled with all the beauty and magic of what could happen. And sometimes when we're at that point in our mindset, it's really, really easy to forget about the money. Like, Mindy, why are we talking about the money? Like, when you don't have the money, it's very stressful. When you have the money and it's flowing, it feels like ease. You know, you can just kind of make decisions and you don't have that stress factor around money. So no matter where you are on the spectrum with money, moving into this new year, it is critically important that you are paying attention to where that money is going. When I think in terms of making an investment, where my money is going, I think a lot about the return. What return am I going to get on this investment? And I don't mean from like a strictly financial perspective where we make an investment, we're like, okay, if I put it into the stock market over this period of 10 years, I should make, X percentage, depending on which expert you talk to, I'll make 10% on my money over this period of time. So I'm going to throw it in the stock market, forget about it, and boom. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the return emotionally, talking about the return like just the satisfaction wise. I'm talking about peace of mind. I'm talking about gratification. I'm talking about your business, because sometimes those returns in our business don't show up right away, but they show up years down the road. I'm also talking about the return on your spend too. Like you do need to make money on the money. It's a really important thing, and we understand this. But sometimes we get caught up in the potential of what could happen, and we can easily make very irrational decisions, or we can just be so hopeful and get caught up in manifesting our reality that we go a little too heavy into investing in something that we're not quite sure it's going to pay off, but some expert told us it would. Some financial person promised us the moon to get us into an investment. Somebody sold us a course or a program, especially those of us in the entrepreneurial space, and said, you'll get X results. Or they can't technically say that, but they'll say, you could be just like these people who went through my course and get X results from Y investment. Sign up for my super, super duper expensive course here and put in hundreds of hours learning exactly what I'm teaching you to learn, and hopefully you'll get those results. I'm laughing because I did that last year. I really did, and I went all in. I made a choice with the money in my business, and I said, you know what? I don't care if I have to go into a little bit of debt at the beginning of the year, because at the end of the year, my projections are showing me that I will make X number of dollars, I'll pay off all of this, and I will be at a better place by the end of the year than I was at the beginning because of these investments. The thing is, I did not check in with myself multiple times throughout the year to ensure that X investment was generating Y return. And I thought if I just gave it a little bit more time, it'd be fine. And about halfway through the year, I realized something was up. I started looking at my bank accounts, and yes, I look at my accounts every single day. I look at them throughout the year, but in the back of my mind, there's a certain number that I see in my checking account. And if my number drops below that point, I start thinking, oh, okay, this is crunch time. And it started dropping below that point. I'm like, wait a second. I went really hard and heavy for especially those first 3-4 months. I had a couple launches. I really spent a ton in Facebook ads on strategies I did not understand. And I got to June and I was calling up my bookkeeper saying, I've got to make some changes. He's like, Mindy, I've been telling you this. And it was one of those, come to Jesus moments, if you like to use that expression. And I thought, you know what? I've got to make smarter choices through the end of the year if I want to be profitable. And so I immediately stopped investing in ads that were not generating the return that I was getting. I said, okay, let me pause those. Let me do minimal ads for now. And let me kind of figure out how I can make my business more profitable instead of just focusing on generating a certain amount of revenue, which, sometimes that's profitable, sometimes it's not. I wanted to focus on profitability. So for the last 6 months of the year, it was amazing. By October, I'd kind of like recuperated from those losses and I felt like, okay, I'm in a much better place. A lot of opportunities came my way and that profitability was like pretty sky high. So there were a lot of lessons. And at the end of the day, I realized, I don't think I'm the type of person that really likes to spend a lot on ads. I'm just not that person. I'm an organic person. I've always been organic. And so for me, I bought into the hype. I was also paying for a program that's right around $10K per year to get high level coaching and to learn all of these tactics. And I immersed myself. I spent hours a week. I attended just about every single coaching call, listened to all the replays, took notes, implemented. I did all the things. And at the end of the day, I didn't enjoy it. It was like, okay, I'm not getting a return. So I'm not getting a return on the money itself. I'm actually making a lot more on my client work, on the stuff that's a little less stressful. Referrals are like definitely one of my bread and butter things. Speaking was very, very profitable, but all the launching and all the ads going into the launching, not as important and not as much bread and butter for me. I'm still going to do them, but in an organic fashion moving forward. So this was a really interesting thing for me. And it was definitely very humbling because I should have caught it sooner. I've prided myself on always sticking within my budget and not getting caught up in like all the woo-woo manifestation. Oh, if I just visualize it, if I set these goals, if I just do all of these things that a bunch of other experts are doing and making tons of money, it'll happen for me. And it didn't. So I think the lesson from that is don't get caught up in that. I guess is don't really get caught up in somebody selling you something. Everybody is selling you something. I'm selling you something. You're listening to my podcast. I'm selling you on the next episode. Every single time you put me in your ears, you're being sold on whatever message I'm talking about. That's just part of life. That's a part of communication. That's a part of business. It's part of personal and professional development. Okay. Understanding that. But being super smart with your money because your money matters a lot and it affects your family. It affects your future and you have to pay attention to where it's going and really have some checks and balances in place. And when you are making a financial decision, especially as you're approaching this year, because I talked to so many of my friends, I was in an accountability pod with some beautiful humans and we all did the same thing. We all went all in on these programs and come to find out, none of us are in the place that we thought we were going to be in at this point in the game. It's been almost 2 years since we started meeting and, one of us has gone back to a full-time job, which is great. You get that steady income, but not really the path that was intended. I'm kind of going back to my client work thinking this is great. Stick to my referrals and stick to the people I know well, highly profitable, and let's just keep that going. And it's really, really interesting. Because there's so much out there, especially if you are part of the digital space. Speaking to many of you who are because you talk to me and you tell me or you're starting a business and you want to get some advice or just, some resources around who to listen to, who actually knows what they're doing. And I talk to so many of you who tell me, Mindy, I just invested $5K in this program and I'm still not seeing the results. I think it's just because I haven't learned how to implement, and it's like we take the blame ourselves. Because we must not be understanding, we must not be doing something right, and so we beat ourselves up. But at the end of the day, it really comes back to making smart money decisions and not getting sucked into the hype of somebody's great marketing or their great messaging or just their success stories that they're showing you. It's like really understanding yourself. And this comes back to what the Mango Effect is all about, really knowing yourself. Really having that deep intuition, what is going to work for you and what is not. And sometimes you don't know until you try it. And I was just talking to my partner about this like an hour or so ago. And he said, Mindy, he's like, it's okay. I know you're going to talk about money on the podcast today, but he said you had to try on that hat to see if it fit. And until you actually put that hat on, you don't know if it's going to fit. It may be a beautiful hat. It may be like, oh, the best hat ever. But until you put it on your head, look at yourself in the mirror, you're not going to know if you like the hat. It's the same thing with life. So there are a lot of things that we do have to kind of try on. But before we buy the hat, we should try the hat on. Before we actually give a ton of resources, we should test it. And I'm guilty of this too. When I go shopping, I'm the worst shopper. Okay. I'll just say that straight out here. We can be honest. When I go shopping, I don't like to try on clothes. I just want to look at it and say, okay, yeah, that'll fit me, and not try it on. But I always regret those decisions because I have a weird shaped body. And so when I try on something that looks beautiful on a rack, it looks great on the mannequin, and it looks really good on my friend, but I put it on, I'm like, holy moly. That is not going to work, and got to put it back on the rack. So I still have to try on clothes to figure out what looks good and what doesn't. And it's the same when it comes to money. So before you go on a major shopping spree and buy all of these clothes untried on, make sure you go into the dressing room. Take that extra time and try things on. And this is something that is so important to the mango. We talked about M is for mango, and M is mindful, A is action, N is nourish, G is gutsy, and O is opportunity. And part of the first step of mango, when we are talking about mindfulness, it's really being mindful with our money, because our money can set the stage and put things in motion, put opportunities in front of us, but we have to be really thoughtful about where our money is going and why. And guess what? You're going to make mistakes. I made mistakes this past year. And you know what? It's okay. I'm still happy. I'm still living. I'm still breathing. And guess what? I figured out that the digital CEO hat is not for me. I'm putting it back on the shelf saying, okay, I know I can't return this for a full refund, but I'm going to go buy a different hat, and I'm going to go back to school, and I'm going to educate myself, and I'm going to do what I am passionate about, what I've always been passionate about, but just thought was going to be too difficult or wasn't the right time. And now I have the opportunity to change course and to actually go back into education and get that degree, which I'm super excited about. And wherever it leads, it's inconsequential. It really is, because you never know where that path is going to lead you. You don't know what relationships are going to happen. But when you know, okay, regroup, let's look at the cards I have been dealt, and let's figure out the best path forward. And whatever happens after that, that's fine. One step at a time. I'll do my best guess, best projection, but always being thoughtful of how money comes into the picture here. And that is the point of moving back to Chicagoland, because money goes a lot farther there than it does here in Hawaii. Now, am I going to come back to Hawaii? Well, we don't know, right? But Hawaii is a part of me, and I do want to come back, and it is part of my long-term goal to come back. But I'm going to go back to the Midwest, get my education, and then figure it out from there, because money matters a lot, and I feel like my family will do better. I feel like I will do better without extra money pressure. I can actually relax into my education instead of trying to work really hard and keep my business at this really high level, and also try to go to school and get a 4.0 GPA and pass the MCAT, all at this very high level. And I can actually relax a bit and prioritize accordingly. So I can, do the whole geo arbitrage thing. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, it is one of the most popular on the podcast. So do go listen to it, because I go a little bit deeper there into geo arbitrage and what it is and what we're doing now to actually implement that strategy, because it's been top of mind for us for quite a while now. And it definitely ties into really making smarter money decisions. So think about it. Where are you now with money? What is your relationship to money? Do you feel like you're in scarcity mode or abundance mode? And you know what? A lot of experts I hear out there are trying to get us all into this abundance mindset. There is so much money. It's just kind of like falling from the trees, and all you have to do is manifest it and do a ton of work and buy my program. And I just kind of laugh now, because you can kind of see right through it. And I saw right through it before. But, I did give it a whirl, and I thought, let's do this whole manifesting thing. I'm going to picture myself being a digital CEO from Hawaii and surfing all day and barely working in my business, and it's all automated. And that's just not the reality. And it isn't what makes me happy. And that surprised me, because I thought really getting some traction with launching and, being an expert in X, Y, or Z, and then maybe having some time to write my books would just, be super satisfying. And come to find out, it's really not as satisfying as I thought. So how can I rejigger things and also keep money in mind? Because money kind of makes the world go round, and it definitely makes things easier. And where can I feel less stress with money and more abundance in my life? Because more money does not necessarily mean more abundance. And sometimes we do get that confused. I think sometimes it's really fun too. I have had a lot of different ups and downs in life, I think all of us have when it comes to money, where sometimes the money is going great and you're like, wow, it's only up from here. I can't believe my business is so profitable. My career, I just got a raise. It's taking off. My partner's career is taking off. This is like fantastic. We have so much money. We don't know what to do with it. And then there are other points in time where you're like, man, where's all that money going? Like, I'm trying really hard and I'm barely scraping by. But you know what? It's being able to kind of navigate those and realize no matter whether you are on the upswing right now or you are on the downswing or you're trying to figure it out, or maybe you're in the middle and you just feel kind of stagnant. Guess what? It's all going to be okay. I promise you, it's all going to be okay. And even if the worst happens, even if you need to, get financial assistance from the government, if you need to be on food stamps for a while, if you need to get your health care paid by your state, that's not a bad thing. Because guess what? You don't have to worry about it right now while you get your business going, while you get your career going, while you get your education, while you make some changes. It is all going to work out just fine. And I've been on both ends of the spectrum. And guess what? I'm still happy. I'm still a happy human no matter where I am. And both of them are also kind of fun. When money is flowing, it's a game. And it's like, oh, okay, how do I play this card? It's like, okay, this is a really good time to invest for the long term because I know there are going to be some years that are a little leaner. Or maybe I want to have more options in the future. And then the times when it is a little leaner, I'm like, this is a game. It's like, all right, how can I cut expenses and only get the things I really like? And that is also really fun because I feel like I'm contributing and it's still a game. And I feel like there is no right or wrong. So no matter where you are with your money right now, guess what? You can change it. Guess what? You can make it better. If it's going down, you can figure out ways to take it up. If you like where it is, then keep it where it is. If it's going up, figure out how you can save for the times that are not going to be as good. And you'll have a lot more peace of mind. And thinking through money matters. Thinking through how you're handling your finances now. If you have not put into place some type of structure and some type of way to actually check on your numbers, this is a big mistake I made early on. When I first got together with my partner, before that I was really strict. Like I was that person that counted every penny, and I was, so afraid that my money was going to disappear on me. When I met my partner, he's a little bit more like, if you like it, get it. And so I went a little too far that direction where anything I liked and wanted at the time, I just went for it. And I'm like, I'll figure out how to pay for it later. So you don't want to be on either end of the spectrum. But what I have found to keep myself in check is literally looking at my numbers every single day. And if you're curious, like what tool I use, it's free. It's called Personal Capital. Just enter in all of your accounts, your investments, your bank accounts. You can put in cash. If you have a mortgage, you can put in the house value, your car value, all of that good stuff, any loans that you have. And every single day, I look at that. I look at all of the transactions that happen that day. I categorize them. And I also pay attention to the upward or downward trend of, my overall value. And just thinking through what is my net worth right now. And if it's going down, a lot of times it's intentional because I'm investing in something, I'm making a move, I'm doing something that is going to hopefully bring it back up. If it is going up, I try to think, okay, is this a temporary thing or is this something I'm going to be keeping going, and is it going to level off, or how can I prepare for when it does do that dip? And as an entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, you know that feeling. Like sometimes it is just rocking and you can't imagine that it ever is going to slow down. And then sometimes you're like, well, where'd all those clients go? For a while there, my calendar was so full and now don't know where they went. So you have to be prepared. So paying attention to your net worth every single day, looking at your transactions. And something else that I learned too, in looking at transactions, you don't want to categorize them as like good or bad, or, I shouldn't have spent on that. That was a little too much. That was a luxury item. You actually want to think about your feelings around that transaction. Every transaction you make should make you feel a certain way. Like you want to pay attention. When I pay my utility bill, for example, it's probably a neutral feeling. Like I'm grateful that I can pay for it, but it's kind of like, okay, kind of have to pay for it. When I purchase something, for example, like a surfboard, favorite thing ever, I get really excited, and I usually save up for my surfboards. I probably get one per year. And so that to me is like, I feel, yes, it's usually a lot of money, but it has that sense of, this is something that is in alignment. This is one of my values, something that gets me really, really excited. And when I make a purchase that is like, something out of convenience or something unnecessary, I usually kind of feel like, why did I buy that? Can I send it back? Can I take it back to Costco? And so really paying attention to your emotions around certain purchases so you can align your purchases with your values. Because over time, that's something that you can cultivate. That is a skill. And when you do that, you'll be really surprised how your relationship with money will change and also how you will feel like a little bit more of a healthy relationship because money has to flow. You can't just hoard it. It has to flow to you and through you and back to you again. It's a flowing thing. It is not something that you can just hoard and hope that it grows. And so that's something that you just have to develop over time and paying attention to your transactions and categorizing them, even for your business. I do it for my business too, not just my personal expenses. And that keeps me in touch with what I'm paying for. Sometimes a sneaky subscription will come through and you're like, wait, I'm still paying for this? Like, am I using this? Am I not using this? Is this really making me money? Because that's an easy one. When it comes to business, I feel a lot less emotional about those purchases for the most part because it's either making you money or not. If it's not making you money, is it something that's going to make you money down the road? If not, why are you paying for it? There may be another reason that you have to pay for it, but just kind of think in terms of a little bit more black and white, I think, when it comes to business. And then when it comes to personal, just being very fluid and understanding what lights you up, which purchases really are awesome to you, which ones are just kind of, okay, those are my bills and I'm grateful for them. But putting your energy and your money together is really important and it just helps you make better decisions and make better purchases moving forward and also helps you align your goals and how far are you willing to go with your money and investing in a career, in a business if you're not seeing the return, because that's a big deal too. You can take it so far and then realize, okay, here's the point where this is the point of no return. If I keep going, very risky. If I turn back now, that might be a little safer. Where are you on that level too? Because that's something that really comes up for a lot of people as they're making a career change, like something I've really been thinking about, just the sunk costs, in time. And I don't have, going back to school as a 30-something is not the same as going when you're 20 or in your teens. So really weighing the cost and making sure that it is appropriate, it's a good time, and then also that it's a good use of your funds and of your money. Because money is energy. Keep that in mind. Money is energy. And it merges. It's kind of interesting how this all works. And when money's flowing to you, you're embracing that energy. When money's flowing through you and to somebody else, you're also passing on that really good energy too. And I love spending money with people and on people and hiring people who are good humans because you're passing on that really good energy and you're kind of making the whole economical whatever, stratosphere go on. So money, how are you feeling about your money? Are there any changes that you need to make in your relationship with money? Do you need to get a little bit more logical and start actually looking at your expenses? Do you need to get a little bit more intuitive and actually understand your feelings and your emotions around your expenses? Because both of those together make for a really powerful money management strategy that doesn't feel like Dave Ramsey-esque. Nothing against Dave Ramsey, but it's just not totally my style, but I like a lot of the things he teaches. And it's not on the other side of the spectrum where it's all the, the money manifestors that are making millions on selling us their programs, telling us how we can make millions that we never make, all of that kind of stuff. So really kind of figure out the balance here, your logical brain, your intuition. And I talk about that a lot here on the podcast because I think sometimes it's easy to get unbalanced. We're either one way or the other. We're either too touchy-feely, or we're just a little too logical and we don't get in touch with our emotions. It's blending the two. That's part of the mango effect. All right. So I really want to hear your take on money. Let's talk money. It's the new year. We can set new financial goals. This is going to be awesome. So DM me on Instagram if you want to share your take on money or any tips, or if you've come across a tool that you think is great, like a budgeting tool or anything like that. I love this kind of stuff. So I like to nerd out. So feel free to share it with me. You can also look me up on TikTok, Instagram and TikTok at Mango Effect Podcast. And let's encourage and inspire each other this week. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your shows so you don't miss an episode. And if you love the show, I'd be thrilled if you could write a 5-star review. We are still somewhat of a new show, so any reviews and subscribes will definitely help us as we grow. All right, I will talk with you in the next episode. Bye for now.